Is it recording?
It's recording. It's fancy. It has a voice now.
I know.
Recording in progress.
I didn't have that before. So here we are on the Blind Man in Black. I don't think I said blind. I said blind. I didn't put the D on the end. Blind Man in Black. And I am your host, Brian Snyder. And if you like the show, please rate, subscribe, and review. It helps. If you don't like it, send it to your opposing political party. And
Right.
So I'm here with artist and radio show host Prickly Pear.
Hey, boo. Hey.
Hey.
Hey,
So
hey.
how you holding together?
Dude, today was a weird day. Today vibrated on a whole nother level. But,
In what sense?
The sensitivity sense, I think, just feeling overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
That smoke rolls through our county and you hear all those evacuation orders on the radio. And there's that new mask mandate in Nevada County, which I support and I'm behind. But then you go places and you see the other prickly people not being so kind about it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a sensitive day.
Yeah, it is weird. And I should note that we originally were going to do this interview like a couple of weeks ago, but we were both experiencing a wildfire in our county and I evacuated. Did you evacuate?
Not for that fire. We did not, but we gathered our belongings and packed our car because of, as us local kids know, the fire can turn and go 100 miles and not 100 miles, but it can go 8 miles in minutes. So we were 8 miles from one of the evacuation zones. So our family gathered our stuff and we were ready to go.
How are you feeling? Are you feeling on edge?
It's a weird time to raise a kid.
Yeah,
when I know you grew up here and I think we're about the same age. So I don't know if you were here during the 49er fire. Were you a young person here?
I was born here and I spent the first 10 years of my life here. And then my mother met someone and we moved to upstate New York. So I only spent the first 10 years of my life here. So I wasn't here during that fire.
So you missed that. So like in my lifetime of growing up in Nevada County, I've experienced one tragic fire, which was the 49er fire.
Which kind of paralleled last year's fire a little bit, right?
Like it kind of went. It did. That was what the Jones fire.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it was very similar when it came to the smoke coming over the neighborhood and changing the environment that way. So yeah, it's a weird time because that you weren't having to prepare for a fire as a child or an adult 8 months out of the year, it feels like now. So just raising a kid and seeing that anxiety and panic in a young person, because it is scary. We have new neighbors who lost their home to the Paradise Fire. So we hear their stories. So it's real. And I think it's important to make it real for your kids so they're prepared.
Yeah.
And not lie about it.
Yeah.
Just I'd rather be honest with my child and have him prepared to have him know that I'm prepared for a reason, because there's no need to be not prepared and then panic. And then teaching all, my tribe how to be prepared in an emergency.
Yeah.
So it's a weird, and it's weird not to get like trapped in the constant fear. Because that is so easy. And that's kind of what we've done. We don't leave home very often. Or if we do, one of us stays behind just in case one of us has to gather our belongings and our animals. And we don't go many places with just the fear of, not having somebody here who can tend to our home and our chickens. So it's a different lifestyle for sure.
Yeah. I mean, and the fire season keeps becoming longer, it's going, we're getting into now it being in November, December, and January, and it's fucking odd. It's really it's climate change.
Odd.
So
right.
But
and then just we're very sensitive and tender with our water usage, and those things can be just stressful after a while as you watch your yard crisp.
Yeah.
and get dry. And then you like have to pick and choose what you're going to water and pick and choose how often you bathe. I think that's what we do here. We're very tender with what we use.
Do you smell okay right now?
I do not. I actually did a smell test before we went on there. Even though you don't have smell cam, but I'm like, oh yeah. I smell like a Nevada County for sure.
For sure. What does Nevada County smell like?
Like a good, ripe, fleshy person. I don't know. It's either like garlic or
marijuana.
My son calls it bee-boo because I breastfed, and so I was always stinky. He's like, it just smells, and he called it bee-boo. Bee-booing, mommy, let's bee-boo. And he's like, it just smells like bee-boo. I'm like, oh, that's B-O, buddy. It's not. But it's sweet. But I don't have to get close to anybody these days, so I'm good.
Right.
And hand sanitizer doubles as taking that odor away. So I'm grateful to have that in my car and wherever at my desk.
Right.
When needed.
I think you just patented a ASL hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer. Yeah.
What?
I don't know. What would you call it? Anyhow, so that's just today. Other than that, things are well. We went back into the studio 2 Mondays KVMR? Ago. Yeah, that was weird. Because my son and I, so Prickly Pear and the Succulent, that's what we go by. He's my co-host. And at 5:00, he has the 5-track special at the top of the hour. He picks 5 songs to feature and talk about. And we've been producing from home for the last 18 months. So
we'll get into it. Well, I want to get into the radio show, but I want to know where you began. So you were born here?
Sure. I was born in Castro Valley in 1977.
Okay.
And then my dad, he's an upholsterer, and he was working for the Denny's Corporation and came up here to reupholster some benches in Denny's. So there used to be a Denny's here. Where
I remember that Denny's. It's where Jim Boys
right,
is,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Right. So he pulled in there in his work van, and back in the day, we had pay phones, and he called my mom from the pay phone outside of Denny's at the time, or inside of Denny's, wherever it may have been, and told her, I found where we're going to move, and we're moving here. And their realtor laughed at them and said, you're never going to sell the house. It's not the market to sell. But their house sold within 3 weeks of it being listed. And we moved from Castro Valley to Rough and Ready in 1978. So I was about a year old.
Okay.
And I've been here since.
That's interesting.
Where I started.
I wonder, where did you go to elementary school?
I went to a private school called Echo Ridge.
Where is that?
That is across from Nevada Union. You dive down into this little hole. I think it's Echo Ridge Drive is the name of the road it's on. It's affiliated with the Seventh Day Adventist Church. Okay. But I think now they just call it a Christian school.
Okay, it's not the same name, Echo Ridge?
It might be still called Echo Ridge, but it's not like Echo Ridge Seventh Day.
Okay.
They don't affiliate themselves with the Seventh Day, just a Christian school. So, and then go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I don't think we would have crossed paths because I went to Nevada City Elementary School.
Okay. Yeah. Where was that at the time?
Well, okay. Like behind the courthouse. It's the school up the hill behind the courthouse.
Sweet. That's that little school that became
a charter school.
School after a while. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's an old one. Now. Yeah.
It's a great, cool building. I like it.
Yeah,
now, I think it's Sale now, I believe.
Is it?
Yeah, it's also a school, but it's called Sale.
Okay.
It's a charter school.
Yeah, I think it's changed charter schools several times since I've been back in this area. And but yeah, I used to wait out on the steps there with the painted yellow lines and wait for my bus. And it was bus G.
Bus G. I don't remember what bus when I finally went to public school, all I remember is having to catch the bus at 6:01 down on Highway 49.
Mm-hmm.
And then there wasn't enough buses to share between Bear River and Nevada Union.
Mm-hmm.
So our bus to Bear River would drop us off at 6:24, and then they'd haul ass up to Nevada Union and pick up those kids. So we would be at school for an hour before school started. That was intense.
That's horrible.
And that was right
sucks.
when the internet was hitting us as children. And so I would, find myself in a chat room to 1 a.m. and then try to fall asleep and then get your ass up and then run your ass down to the bottom of the hill to catch the bus at 6:01. It was hard times.
Yeah. An hour.
Yeah.
That's brutal. I would not have enjoyed that.
It was brutal. Hard times, but high school was all right.
Did you go to NU?
Bear River. It was on that side of the hill.
Okay.
Yeah, it was down the hill.
So you went with you probably went with Anna's husband, right?
Jeremy is younger than me by a few years, so I don't think we crossed paths. Yeah, she's a cradle robber, I believe. I
didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
A little younger than me. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I miss that fancy pants.
Yeah. So what was your childhood like? Was with the upholstery and so on?
It was sweet. My mom, after we lived in Rough and Ready, my folks were able to build a house in Alta Sierra.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad worked from home as an upholsterer. And that my mom was in the insurance business. So she worked for State Farm Insurance since I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to stay home with my dad or go to school and then come home and be with my dad. So I got to experience upholstery business is cool because he'd bring home couches and we'd tear the couches apart and find treasures like money and whistles and toys and just bet fun.
Probably some rings, right?
Rings, yeah.
Jewelry.
The favorite find that he found was this whistle, and I don't know the name of the whistle, but it was like a boat whistle. When the captain would blow it, I've tried to look it up to find the sound it would make.
Do you still have it?
No, I don't have it. The only thing I have of my dad's is his digital camera and maybe a leather jacket, but I don't have that whistle. I wish, because it was really cool.
Was he a biker?
My dad he later in his life, he got a motorcycle, a Yamaha motorcycle. He was an amazing musician. He could pick up any instrument and play it.
Mm-hmm.
Any instrument. He was a left-handed man who had a left-handed guitar. Mm-hmm. And once I bought him from Denio's farmer's market and auction as a xylophone, and I brought it home and he met me out on the porch and he opened it and went into some Beatles tune instantly. I was like, holy crap, that skipped me. Unfortunately, that musical gene jumped over me, unfortunately.
Did you try it?
Do I try playing music?
Yeah,
I do. I have a guitar and I play. It really comes down to practicing and actually dedicating time to a hobby like that, and I just don't.
Right. Yeah.
But I could, but I play the one song I wrote, I play the same 7 chords.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not in my wheelhouse right now.
No,
but I'm an only child, so there's that excitement.
A lot of attention focused on you, right?
Yeah, and just learning how to entertain yourself, be zen with being alone.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved to Alta Sierra, we lived across the street from a Mormon family, the Sorensens.
Mm-hmm.
And at one time they had 10 kids. And by the time we moved and left, they had I think it was 13. So I had my little tribe. I know my little tribe across the street that I played well with.
Did you ever think of converting to Mormonism?
No, maybe the food was always good. I went to Mormon camp and had these wonderful taco salads with cracked coconut on top.
Right.
That was good, but no, I'll pass. Most organized religions, no thanks.
Right.
Find my spiritual blessings elsewhere.
Can you talk about that a little? What are you spiritual?
No, I can't label myself as spiritual, not at all. But I definitely have. I was telling my son the other day, this has nothing to do with spiritual, but it just like being in tune to things and like feeling things that might happen. When I was probably his age, which he's 7, my parents would always ship me off to the Bay Area in Fremont, where my grandparents lived, every summer, and I'd go spend like a month over there. And there was it was New Year's Eve, and or the day before New Year's Eve, I had this dream or this overwhelming feeling that my parents' house was going to catch on fire. And I kept telling my grandma I needed to call them, that their house was on fire. Their house is on fire. She's like, they're fine. They're fine. You don't need to do anything. Just let it be. But I didn't let it go. And so finally she let me call them on the rotary phone. I was telling Odin about the rotary phone and what that meant. 916, no, whatever. Back then it was 916 up here. And I had told my parents, like, your house is going to burn down. Like, your house is on fire. And like, we're fine. There was a chimney fire in town and we're going to go look at it. Everything's fine. Well, that inspired them to come home and like check the chimney of their house. We had really steep ceilings in our home in Alta Sierra. And so the chimney went, like 20 feet before it hit the roof. And my dad had taken the poker and was knocking the chimney as high as he could reach. And at one point, the whole thing exploded on him, like cracked into thousands of pieces.
Oh, really?
And yeah. And so he called and he's like, Amy was right. Like, if we would have, they were having a New Year's Eve party with church friends or something. Like, if we would have had a fire, there's no telling that it wouldn't have exploded on our company. So because I was so persistent, I mean, that's not spiritual, but
how old are you?
I have about 7.
So do you think you have some type of ability to see into the future?
I think when I'm well, like healthy and not, my filters aren't full of noise and stress. Yeah. But
can you tell me what's going to happen to me?
No, you're going to go to bed wet and Rachel's going to get pissed that you're moist.
She doesn't get pissed. She's just irritated. She gets pissed about other things, but she's mostly, the baseline is just irritation and exasperated, being exasperated with me.
She's going to spend 4 hours in the bathtub and you're going to wonder, why are you in there?
Yeah.
Oh,
I still don't know what goes on in there.
Because women are weird. We're just weird beasts.
Do you spend 4 hours every night in the bathtub?
I don't take a bath because that's a lot of water. I have to collect in buckets and go water the trees. Otherwise, like, I have all this guilt. So I don't bathe, remember?
Yeah, she's not guilty. She has no guilt.
Well, I don't blame her. She's got a hard job.
Yeah. So was there anything you wanted to be besides, can you start fires with your mind? I
hope not. Is that why the whole California is burning down?
I don't know.
Thinking about it. I hope not.
Is this an exclusive on the Blind Man in Black? Amy started every fire ever. Sorry, prickly.
And it's okay. It's all right. We're all right with that. You can't edit it now. Fat lady saying.
We don't know your last name. It's just Prickly, or it's Prickly Pear.
Yep. Prickly Pear. Well, eventually they'll figure it out. If somebody goes to the link, that's cool.
Well, it's funny because I was thinking, I'm like, am I going to accidentally say Amy? And
we will. I said the succulent's name. It's whatever.
Right. Did you know that Rachel is like a succulent master?
I think I remember hearing you guys talk about that in one of your podcasts.
Yeah. Well, that's one of her ADHD like obsessions. So it's succulents, coins, rocks, mushrooms.
Is she sticking to it though?
No, she goes from one to another. Like,
I kind of feel that.
In the fall and winter, she's mushrooming it. And then, I guess it would be winter and the spring because that's...
Yeah, when it's moist.
Yeah.
And then when it's hot as balls, she's into the succulents. Yeah, we were doing really good with ours. And then something shifted. I'm not quite sure what shifted because I'm not going back to work. So it's not like work is getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's just, motivation is hard to fuel right now. I don't know if you experienced that at all, but like I used to paint and I haven't painted for over a year. So, I mean, and it's not that I don't want to, it's a weird, I guess when, I know we said we wouldn't talk about my job, but when that passion and that desire is not being met, like it doesn't fuel a lot of your other things that you want to do. And I would be inspired by what I did for a living, and be motivated to paint and do my little trinkety things. So now I'm not one.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, it's a precarious, depressing time. We don't know what's going to happen. The Delta variant's really exploding in our county.
Yeah, I know. And somebody had reposted something Rachel had said on Facebook, and I clipped and pasted it into my notes on my phone just to kind of go back to it and read it, because she was talking about, what she does at her job and how real COVID is in her world and how frustrated she feels about people not believing it. And I feel her completely.
It's interesting because our county is like a microcosm of the entire country, right?
God, yeah.
It's like, because we're so equally divided, pretty much, like in political ideologies. And so we have, it's not like, we're, like the whole area is anti-mask or one. So this is definitely like divided, county for sure in every aspect.
Right. I mean, what's the percentage of those vaccinated? I think I just looked it up today. It was like 57%, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, literally split down the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. I mean, it's yeah, but let's get away from COVID.
Okay.
Let's escape a little bit.
It's hard not to
no,
get
I mean,
sucked down
we
into
can
the
we can come back
realness.
to it. I just don't want this to be a bummer. I want
Okay.
to explore your life. And what did you want to do? Did you have a dream?
I did. And my dream started again back when I was little. And we said we wouldn't talk about my job, but we're going to fall right into that dream, quote unquote. So back to being a Seventh Day Adventist, we went to church every Saturday, and our church was on Alta Street back then. Cute little church with a beautiful stained glass window that my first grade teacher husband made. It is now like the Salvation Army Church.
Okay.
So when I was going to private school, we had to write a book about what we wanted to do when we grew up. So one of these Saturdays I was at church, and there's this family, the Stevensons. So they own Stevenson's Jewelry. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's over near the Grass Valley Memorial Park. They've been
I
part
don't.
of the community.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're over there. They're also hot air balloon pilots and what have you. Anyhow, way back in the day, they had a group home in their home. So they had people with severe disabilities, like adults that had to live in cribs. That's how severe their disabilities were. And they had young people with Down syndrome, and they were always dressed like pristine, presented very well and beautiful. This one woman was always in this very lacy dress, and I ran into her in the bathroom one Saturday, and she was very friendly and shook my hand. And I had told my friend, I'm like, I'm never washing my hand again, because I felt like I had met a rock star. Like, this woman is awesome. I'm in love with her. I didn't know like why I was so connected to her. But my family was also friends with the Stevensons. So we would go to their house, and I would see how they raised those young adults. And I was fascinated. So then I knew, like, at that age, about 7, 8, all I could tell my teacher was like, I want to serve others. I want to serve people. And she's like, okay, so you're going to write your little book about being a waitress so you can serve people. And I was like, what? Like, that's not what my heart was like telling. That's not what I wanted. But I didn't know at that age, I couldn't really express like what I meant by serving others. But I just knew like I want to be a caretaker, server, tending to people. So I wrote that book about being a waitress. And I don't think my family went out to eat very often. Like we were low income. We hit Taco Bell every now and again. It's like, I don't even know what is a waitress, but they serve people.
Right.
So I wrote my book about being a waitress. But I'd always known since I was little, I wanted to work with people with special abilities. And then fast forward into high school, I was finally able to, express to my teachers, like, this is what I want to do. And they connected me with the right resources and had me be a peer counselor at Bear River. And I did some like student assistant stuff with the special ed department. And then I think my junior year, I know, Mrs. Gerhardt, she was my yearbook teacher. She always she would dye her hair, and her hair would never dye the color she wanted it. So she'd come to school and her hair would be like this yellow green. And she always wore, she was lovely. And she swore that she was an extra in Sound of Music, which I never found out to be factual or not. But
did you IMDb it?
I need to. I should see if they list all the extras.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, I'm going to do that later then. So she hunted me down at my friend's house. She had called my home and my mom said, oh, she's at her friend Sierra's and here's the phone number. So she literally calls me at my friend's house in the middle of the summer. And she's like, Amy, you have to search autism. Autism, it's been around, but it's hitting the streets hard. So I microfished it because remember what that is.
Yeah. The little those negatives that you put a slide under the glass with the light.
So we had that at school and I went and microfished it and then looked through all these psychology books. And so we had to do our senior project in order to graduate. So I did mine on autism. And then, so I was hooked, fascinated. I did some time at Champion Mind. Back in the day, it was called Champion Mind Preschool. So I worked with some of the special ed children there. And I took a huge hiatus from that to have an art gallery in town. But the majority of my career has been focused on working with those with special abilities. I had one pizza gig. I worked at Lamppost Pizza, but beyond that, has all been special ed and art.
Now let's talk about your art. So how did you learn to paint
I never went to school for painting. I think the only art class I took, again, I think a long time ago, was I took a ceramics class in high school with Miss McLaughlin and Mr. Madigan's drafting class. That's his artsy and yearbook. That's as artsy as I went. And then back, I don't know what year that was, where Nevada County had that gentleman who went around and shot people at Lions. Do you remember that year? What year was that? 1999.
Are you talking about the dude that went into the Publix, which used to be the old social services building and shot people?
Yeah. So that
was like in the 90s, right?
That was in the 90s. So that's when I had an art gallery in downtown Grass Valley because we went into lockdown. So I took a break from working in the special ed field to have an art gallery and have a metal garden art business, and taught myself how to use a CNC machine, which is has a Y and Z axis. You program into this computer and it has a plasma torch and would cut out all of our shapes. And we had a huge sale to Home Depot, some home and garden center. So we were hand cutting thousands of these pieces out and selling them. And then China caught on and started making them. So our business flopped. But for a while, we had a little gallery co-op in downtown Grass Valley back in the 90s. So we rented out space to other artists within the community. And it was called Where the Art Things Are. It was in the corner, right across from the Holbrook at the corner, kitty corner to Toffanelli's. We were there for, I don't know, maybe a year, 2 years, until we just couldn't afford it because we had a home we were renting, the art gallery we were renting, and then a piece of a studio up near the airport.
Okay.
And we were making money when we could actually slice like red onion into our top ramen. Like, okay, we have money for a red onion. Yes.
So what made you stay here? Because my wife wanted to get the fuck out of here as quickly as possible. She left at 17 years old.
I remember her saying that. Yeah. Probably unhealthy relationships. Really?
They kept you here?
Yeah. That kept me. That's what tied me to the metal art business, was unhealthiness. And then after that fell away, I didn't really have a desire to go at that point. Really. I mean, I had everything I needed. Once that unhealthy relationship dissolved, I found other things healthier that kept me here. Like,
yeah, and you had parents, right, that you
exactly.
had a good relationship with. There wasn't like,
right.
Yeah,
I wasn't trying to run away. I mean, I did move out of my home at 17, but I never felt like I needed to run away from ickiness at home. So therefore, I wasn't afraid to stay in the county. Now, if I could go back and make changes, would I?
Have you lived anywhere besides Nevada County?
No, dude. I'm one of those. I've lived in, Nevada County, not even Placer County. I worked in Placer County. Does that count?
Sure. We can accept that.
No, it's always been Nevada County, Grass Valley, Nevada City, Penn Valley, like McCourtney Road area.
So what have you seen change over the years, and what has stayed the same?
Racism. That stayed the same. What has changed? Obviously, more people. A lot more people, things we don't need. I'm surprised Kmart's not taken down and a Target's put up. Really, I'm blown away by that.
Well, I think that has to do with our community to some degree. I think people don't want those things because I had a meeting with Doug LaMalfa's
you're brave.
Staff, right?
Yeah, good job.
And they were complaining that Nevada County residents, the reason we don't have like affordable housing and things like that is because we won't allow Walmart and
get off of that statement. Yeah. All right. So those houses that they put on Ridge Road, for $600,000 a piece, that I could fart and my neighbor could hear me. Yeah, we don't have. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
No, so what's changed? There's more people. Obviously, the going joke back in the day, like when I had my driver's license for the first time, is the biggest argument in town at a four-way stop was like, who's going to go first? Like, no, you go. No, you go. No, you go. Like, you sit there forever and like be super polite, like who's going to leave first at that four-way stop. And now it's like, fuck you, get out of my way.
Yeah.
But there's still some tender sweetness here. I mean, let's be real. There is some wonderful things about living here, but it can get kind of angsty at times.
Yes, it can, for sure. I mean, things have, the tension has increased. We had that Black Lives Matter march that turned violent, which was horrible.
I know, but nobody's going to agree to that. Right.
Yeah, the Patriots showed up, and then that
I
was
know. It just
yeah.
breaks my heart. It really, I'm going to Bear River. You could count how many people of color were in your school if I was born with two fingers on my hand. There was one person of color growing up, maybe two. And I remember after a football game, another high school had written slanderous things on our walls because of those two young men.
Oh,
Like,
that's sad.
it's just yucky. And I mean, I hope that has shifted within our schools. I don't know.
I mean, I think there probably is a little bit more diversity now, right? Would you say there's a
Yeah.
little
Oh,
bit?
yeah.
But and I think people are having conversations now, talking about white privilege and talking about racism in general, and so that's happening.
It
And
is.
um,
There's more platforms to educate people of that. Like Tracy, she's got Color Me Human nonprofit, which is super wonderful.
mhm,
The Nisanon, like you interviewed Shelley.
mhm.
It's a whole nother platform just for education, which is a brilliant thing.
Well, thank you for watching. I didn't know you were
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. You're
Uh,
welcome.
I really that was really a beautiful interview, and I enjoyed talking with Shelley, and because when I was growing up, I don't know about you, but in when I was at Nevada City Elementary, the Nisanon were not discussed,
Oh no, I know.
and I didn't learn about the Nisanon tribe until much later. and
Right.
uh, and then I remember watching a YouTube video about I mean, basically, I mean, it's all part of the genocide during the gold rush. But I mean, I remember one of the tribal elders was speaking about how before colonization there were like 3,000 Nisenan in this area, and then by 1938 there were like 19 on record.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're all
Yeah,
being scalped.
yeah.
Yeah. I know. Anyhow, let's go back to the happy things.
so so what about radio? How did you get involved with the
Radio.
KVMR?
Well, my partner, in 2012, 13, was it?
Mhm.
2011, my partner, KVMR, had offered, come write a proposal and see if you can be accepted into the class. I was like, you should really do this. Like,
Mhm.
man, I don't know. But he kept saying, do it, do it, do it. So I wrote, and I wasn't a huge listener, so I didn't know that they already had disability rap. And I don't even know if Anna was doing it then, if she hadn't taken it over. Was it Tony at the beginning?
I don't know. I know that somebody was doing it before
Somebody
Anna.
else was doing it
Yeah.
before Anna. So
Yeah.
I had my proposal to KVMR was to feature, not just talk about disabilities, but to feature artists with disabilities, whether it be a mental health disability or, developmentally disabilities, those musicians. And I would just want to focus and feature those artists, even if it was only an hour long
Mhm.
show, but just showcase that genre.
Mhm.
So I was accepted into the class, and obviously there wasn't a slot for that theme. Um, so the first little gig I got at KVMR was the women's show. So that's on Monday nights, and we were asked to only play the voices of women and music of women.
Okay.
So I did that for a while.
So did it come naturally to you? You have a great radio voice, and
Well,
was it
thank
something that you
you.
had to work on, or what?
You
What?
know, I think maybe an only child. And back in the day, you didn't have to wear seatbelts. So when we would drive from Grass Valley to Fremont in my parents' pickup truck, my dad made a really plush, upholstered back of the truck, and I would have my tape recorder and my books and my art supplies, and I would do a lot of talking on my tape recorder, just telling stories, reading. And it was like how I entertained myself.
Truck?
We had a camper shell.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, there's going to be a lot of road noise in that recording.
Yeah. So it was a camper shell. It was carpeted and, you know, it was plush. So you didn't hear a lot of road noise because how my dad had made it super sweet. So I spent a lot of time doing that, you know, and when I was little, my grandfather gifted me a really nice stereo with tall speakers and double tape deck and a record player. And I spent a lot of time talking and reading to myself and recording it. So I wouldn't say I ever like dreamed that I would be a radio host or a broadcaster by any means. It was not something I had thought I would do or wanted to do, but my partner's like, just do it, try it out. And then it just kind of fell into place. And back, I had Greg Jewett. He is the Other Monday Music Magazine host. He was my mentor after class, and I just followed him. And I met Cactus, who's agent Skidoo 30. I don't know. I can't tell you. I'd have to look it up. He was part of my mentorship. And then one day live on the air, he's like, what would your radio name be? I'm like, well, if you're Cactus, then I guess I'd have to be Prickly Pear. And that's where that came from.
Okay.
Just the heat of the moment. I'm like, I don't know.
Prickly Pear.
So yeah, Cactus is a Grammy winner he does kids hip hop.
Okay.
Agent 32 Skidoo, I think is his band name. He's a cool young man who used to live here. So that's how I got the Prickly Pear. That's how I gave myself that name.
Okay.
And it kind of stuck. So I just stick with it.
So have you ever sworn accidentally on live radio? I
have not talking. I'm not like Mischief over there who has loose lips. I've had some songs that have come through and I don't think I've pushed the button fast enough. There is a button there at the studio, you know, since there's a delay if you have something. Yeah. And then, you know, I think maybe during lockdown pre-producing, I didn't listen to every single flippin' song. So I might have accidentally slipped in a curse word every now and then. But I've never dropped the F-bomb. I've wanted to, but I don't want to lose any airtime because they'll, you know, take a few days away from you if you do that.
Oh, really? So there is that. So and then is there like an FCC fine or anything like that?
There is a huge fine. I don't know if KVMR just gets a warning or if they actually ever pay that fine. It really comes down to who's listening and who wants to complain.
Right. Yeah. If nobody complains, nobody gives a shit. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But if somebody's like, oh, and you can't say tits, I'm like, come on. That's like, there's this great song by Scissor Sisters, and it's precisely that. You can't say tits on the radio.
I thought you just couldn't say the 7 dirty words.
Tits is one of them. I believe tits is one of them. That would be
like 8, wouldn't it?
I don't know. Do you know all 7?
It's cunt, motherfucker. It's fuck. It's Carlin says it. He's got it down to like a science.
He's really good at it.
It flows really smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I just work hard at not saying those things.
Right. Yeah. Because I always when I would occasionally do disability rap, I'm like, I hope I don't swear.
I know. Yeah. I work because I can let it drop. I mean, I think my child learned how to say it probably at age 4. And when he used it appropriately, I was like, hey, you use it appropriately, I'm gonna high five you, dude.
Go ahead. What were we gonna say?
If it's one of the first words that you know how to spell, as long as you're spelling it correctly, hey, kudos to you, dude.
So Rachel has an older son. He's 20 now, 21. And so what she did with curse words is said, if you can tell me what they mean, you can say them.
Hey. And how'd he do?
I think he got real embarrassed and then like didn't want to say it. So he didn't end up swearing. Yeah.
don't think we overdo it in our home. I think we use it when it's appropriate, and I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was when he dropped his Legos and he's like, "Ah, fuck." Yeah, that's a mess. Like,
Our little guy during Halloween, what happened? So they were, I guess he painted a pumpkin, and then one day they came home and an animal had eaten his specific. There were other pumpkins there that they had painted, but only his was eaten.
Oh no.
And he said, and he's like, animals are bullshit or something like that. And Rachel went, what did you say? And he said, I said animals are bullshit.
See, it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't make a big deal about it. I don't go, oh my God, don't say it. Like, okay, cool.
Right. So what's going on? What's going on now? What's your plans? Like what's going to happen?
Plans. I honestly, plans? Brian, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to get things back to normal, but I'm fearful of people's health and safety. For that plan to move forward. I'll tell you, like, if my mother wasn't still alive during this pandemic, as like work pulled out and KVMR had pulled out there for a moment, it would have been a perfect time to pull all my roots out of Nevada County and try something different.
Really?
It would have been a perfect time because the Band-Aid's already been pulled. You don't have all your normal rhythm happening. You're like, now it's time to start something new. But I didn't, because I have some guilt and some compassion for what I do that I don't want to totally give up yet. So the plans are to not give up.
Where would you have gone though?
I really want to closer to the tsunami area, so you can run back into the fire. Okay. You know, the coast.
Right.
But I have a decent job that pays my mortgage and pays my habits. You know, I can afford my house and I can afford my fancy beer and I can pay for internet. Anything that's above an 8%.
Okay.
So I like good beer. I took a huge break there for a little bit because I became a day drinker. You know, things were really hard. So I'd have a drink at noon just to take the edge off. Wear my magical gummies, you know, because those were helpful.
Yeah, they are.
Very much so helpful.
Are you sativa or indica?
I'm both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sativa to make you a little paranoid?
Yeah, I have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Or I just like have conversations with myself till 4 a.m, and that's not helpful. You know, that anxiety.
You're not in the bath. You just lay in an empty bath?
I just lay in an empty bed going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. How am I going to do that? When am I going to do that? How should I do that? Oh my God, they said this. Right. Oh my gosh. How am I going to make everybody happy? So it doesn't work.
I really want to explore this psychic ability. Like I know, is there anything else that you've like had a premonition about and then it came past?
Yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Dreaming once. I was still living at home. I was a teenager, and I had a dream that my friends were at a party, and my friend wouldn't give me a ride home because she was out of gas. I'm like, you just have to give me a ride home. She's like, I'm out of gas. I'm out of gas. Leave me alone. I'm like, but you have to give me a ride home. And it was probably about 10, 11 o'clock during in the morning. And then there was a knock on the door in real life. And I woke up to like, what is that sound? What's happening? I was a teenager during summer, and I got out of bed and opened the door, and it was my friend that I was just dreaming about. She was covered in stickers. You know, those
BlackBerry?
Not BlackBerry, those little teeny nasty stickers they stick to your socks, the burrs. Yeah. She was covered in stickers. I'm like, what are you doing here? Like half asleep. She's like, dude, I ran out of gas. I need your help. Can you help me get gas in my car? Like, what? She's like, I ran out of gas on Highway 49 and I walked up the hill to your house. I'm like, what the hell? I was just dreaming about you running out of gas. And here
Now,
you
wait a minute.
are.
Did you know previously that she was going out somewhere that
I have
evening?
no idea.
And was it a
No,
prediction based on her previous behavior that she would do
no,
something like that?
no, because I had my own vehicle. I didn't, none at all.
Oh,
Just a
wow.
weird connection. Just weird.
Did you know that Trump was going to be elected?
No, I prayed so hard that wasn't going to happen, dude. I didn't sleep that night. I held my little tiny baby next to me and thought, please, Jesus, if there is a God, let me wake up to this not going to be real.
You know what
No.
happened on election night? I went outside and the sky was orange. And I was like, he's going to win.
Yeah.
It's orange.
I cried that next day, dude. That was an awful day for me, for many of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's over. We'll just have to.
Until 2024.
I thought it was August this
August?
month. Wasn't he supposed to become president this month? I thought.
I don't know. And is that something he said was going to happen?
He said, yeah.
Well, I really don't. I stopped listening to him after a while. So at all.
I know.
Yeah.
You got to. It just makes me cringe. Sometimes I just go to like those YouTube videos and I don't even watch the video. I'll open it, pause it, and just read the comments just for a kick. I'm like, okay, this is where that's going. All right, never mind.
However, I did enjoy Alec Baldwin's Saturday Night Live.
Oh, I know. I had to do a double take the other day on a YouTube video. I'm like, man, his profile on the side actually looks like Alec Baldwin.
Right.
Wow. He does a great job. Just the way he holds his lips when he's doing it.
Right. Yeah. He's just like, it's like a little butthole.
I know. Yeah. So I'll share one more thing with you about, not one more thing, but another. When I was at my grandmother's house in Fremont, she was also an upholsterer. So she worked in a factory and would sew things. And then she worked at home and sewed like school bus seats and curtains and whatnot. And she wanted me to go to work with her one day. And because I would go to work and I would sit like under her sewing machine and color or whatever. And she's like, you gonna come? I'm like, no. I was wishy-washy, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go. No, I'm not gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go. And I kept telling her, I think I'm gonna just stay home. And then she'd check in with me like a few minutes later and I'd say, I'm gonna go with you. She's like, Amy, just Prickly Pear, just figure out like, what are you gonna do? You know, are you gonna go to work or are you gonna stay? I need to know. And I had just this overwhelming feeling. I'm like, just stay with grandpa, stay with grandpa, stay with grandpa. I'm like, I'm going to stay with grandpa today. And so she left. And 20 minutes later, the phone rang and my grandpa picked it up. And she had been in a car accident. So she was getting off the freeway or the highway and coming back over the over ramp. And a big semi truck ran over her car, smashing the driver's side of the vehicle. She had to be airlifted.
Oh, that's horrible.
It was super horrible. She survived. She had to relearn how to walk and had glass come out of all places of her body. But it was another like premonition where my body was telling me, don't go with your grandma, don't go with your grandma, don't go with your grandma. And if you look at the car and how it was run over, I probably would have been fine. But it's just, the trauma of it as a small child, what that would have been like. To be in a car accident that severe would have been really scary.
Now, have you tried to develop this ability? Like, I mean, you could be the next, who's that guy that used to be on TV that you'd have an audience and you go, I'm sensing somebody's name with a B. With the B.
Yeah,
Anybody?
I don't know
John
that
something
guy,
Edwards, or I don't remember.
I don't know. There's that one lady. She's got long fingernails and all that blonde hair.
The Long Island Medium.
Yes, I mean, I wish. I mean, really.
You could parlay this into something.
I could. If
you could become the Nevada County medium.
Yeah, I could just make it all up too. I really liked watching her. I was seeing this one woman you would go to her and she was not only a masseuse, but she would like sense things out and talk to you. And she was really amazing. Her name was Anna. She had to give it up. She's like, it's too loud. I just can't do it. All the things that she was picking up. But yeah, I'm not anything like that. And
Was it Anna Acton?
It was Anna Acton. Yeah. I
She
let her touch
massaged
me.
you and asked
I'd
and
have to
told
pay her
you.
to do it too, Brian. Can you believe it? God, please just touch me. It was this other Anna.
Right.
But yeah, some of the things that she told me, like, because my dad has passed away, and some of the things that she said about my dad, I'm like, holy hell, like, I don't post those things on Facebook. So it's not like she's going on my Facebook page and seeing things that I'm saying. It was pretty intense. Not that I would wish all that chatter in my head, but when I was younger, it was probably there a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm polluted. I watch a lot of things on my phone, and I'm always touching my phone. I'm polluted, so I don't get that anymore. I think if I put that away and lived out somewhere, I might be connected again. But I'm addicted, so I don't see that happening.
So what you're saying is you are not willing to give up social media in order to become our psychic savior.
No, I don't think so. Not this year.
It's a hard no.
No, there's some good stuff out there. I enjoy my screen time.
Are you on the TikTok?
No, it's one thing I'm not on.
The Exhausting Sniders are on the TikTok.
Are you? Both of
Yeah.
you together? One.
Yeah.
I'll have to check you out.
Yeah. We're doing okay on there.
Sweet. Is that her like making fun of you when you talk to Siri? Is that all it is, or?
I mean, no. I mean, it's
okay.
skits. There's skits about me being blind, and
I'll have to check it out.
And her being mean to me. So if you like that,
I would totally get off on that.
Yeah.
Her being mean to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why people like it. They like when she's mean to me. I think people have some kind of a thrill from that.
Yeah. Do you get comments like, how dare her be mean to a blind man?
Yes.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
It's normal.
Yeah. There's a lot of angry people with her. So, but she handles it well. She can take it.
Of course she can.
Yeah.
I was thinking the last time I saw Rachel in person was at a funeral. And it was like a long time ago too. Yeah. Way pre-COVID. Yeah. My friend Steve had died and she hosted him.
Is this in 2018?
2019? He was one of my artists at work. So it was 20, maybe.
Oh yeah, 17? I remember.
You remember that?
Yes.
Did you go there? Were you there?
I was there. Yeah, I was in the back.
That was a while ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was I. It was full house.
It was either the verge of 2019 or something like that. It was like either the end of 2018 or something.
I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was in the back.
Wait. Well.
So I want to try some things. So what is your most beautiful memory of Nevada County, and what is your most horrific memory?
Most beautiful memory of Nevada County.
Let's do the horrific one first, and then we'll end with
the I wasn't even there. I think that August, that protest thing that went down was pretty disheartening.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty heartbreaking for
You're me. Talking about the clash between the Black Lives Matter march and the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, honestly, because let's be real, I've lived in denial that exists. And my partner reminds me, it's like, it's always been here.
Yeah.
It's always been here. But to actually see it on video, because I wasn't there, but to see it and go, that's my home. This is where I live. But you know, I see it every day. I see those flags in the back of people's trucks barreling down the road. I see it. I hate
You're talking about like the Confederate
it
flags?
being, yeah, and where they support the police, yet they're
Right.
gonna shoot them at the Capitol, you know.
Mhm.
Um, I think that there is disheartening. I
Mhm.
don't want it to be real, and it's very real. It's very real, and it makes me sad because I want to live in a perfect little world where everybody loves each other regardless of your gender, your sexuality, the color of your skin. Like how it isn't that simple? Isn't that a
Yeah.
simple ask? It's so simple. And recently I saw some post online at the county fair, which I did not go to, that in the photography aisle, somebody won a third place ribbon for this woman's photograph or somebody's photograph. And it was that of a woman with the American flag draped around her like a cape. So
Mhm.
you're disrespecting the flag, one. She's on train tracks, which fine, that's dangerous, but whatever.
Mhm.
And then she was holding a sign that said rednecks lives matter.
Mhm.
And so that frustrated me. I'm like, why give a third place ribbon to this? Like, why honor it? It should just kind of be left alone, in my opinion, and not presented as this is a thing worth a ribbon. Even if it was sixth place, I'd be like, no, let's not put a ribbon on that.
Yeah, I think, systemic racism, it speaks to how much fear there is. And when it comes to that, Martin Luther King said
Yeah.
it best. He says, men fear each other men hate each other because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't understand each
Yeah.
other. They don't understand each other
Right.
because they don't communicate with each other, and they don't communicate with each other because they're separated. And we're separated. We're isolated.
We're
And
separate.
that's what I see. Everybody, this county, there's a lot of people that are isolated, just living in their own house alone,
And
marinating in
and
racism.
and raising their children to believe what they believe. I was at South Pine Cafe a few months ago, eating outside when they had the South Pine in downtown Grass Valley. You could eat outside there for a little bit.
Mhm.
And so I met up with a coworker and we were out there together. And this big truck comes by with the Trump signs and the American flag sign, and they park right there. Then they come in and eat at South Pine. And at one point, their table was like kitty corner to mine. And I now have short hair, and I've always dealt with like as a little kid, I had short hair, and I was always like, "That's little boy, don't go into the girls' restroom. Hey, little
Mhm.
boy, that's the wrong toilet."
Mhm.
So having short hair has been like has allowed me to overcome those fears as a child.
Mhm.
So here I'm sitting at this table, and it's a young man who obviously has his driver's license, and I'm assuming his mother. And she rests her phone on the corner of her table, and which appears to be taking my photograph. And she says to her son, "Your dad's gonna love this. We don't know if it's a boy or if it's a girl."
Oh,
And that's what I heard. And I'm like, wow, man, you like that gets you off? Like that's what you're teaching your son? And that's like part of your family, like parody, like seriously? Seriously.
yeah. It's
And
belittling people in order to feel more powerful. It's
yeah,
sad.
and I
Yeah.
wonder, and I'm like, and little do you know, like, what if your son's gay? Like,
Hmm.
like how will you ever love him? Will you love him? Like, is he just following your footsteps because that's what makes him feel loved by you, is to be racist and icky
Hmm.
or sexist? And it just so, I don't know. In my opinion, with Trump there in office for a while, it became so much louder and more obvious within our community. And I don't know if maybe I just had blinders on, or maybe I was working more and it was never out in public where people are hateful. And I was always at work where people are full of love and forgiveness and accepting. So I like lived in a bubble. Maybe that's what it was. And then during the pandemic, I went out once a month and explored what it was like to be an adult at a restaurant. And I could hear those things. I'm like, holy crap. And I'm also very sensitive to hearing things. Like I can sit at a table and not have a conversation with the person I'm with because I'm too busy listening to the other 5 conversations around me. That's an issue as well. So anyhow, so I guess the thing that makes me sad about, or whatever your question was, is being more observant to racism and hate, which I have to make sure that I don't just focus on, because there's a lot of wonderful things in our community. The river fire, when people were recently evacuated, I saw a post that people buying pizza and taking it over to the Kmart parking lot and feeding those who were displaced in the moment. Like, see, this is why I love it here. For those moments, because you can place judgment on the people that you saw passing out pizza and like, oh, they just look like that stereotype of people, but here they're taking the moment to feed others. So you've got that.
Do you feel that would be the answer to the next question about what was the most beautiful moment you've experienced within Nevada County?
I don't know. What is the most beautiful moment? I think when all shit hits the fan and seeing the walls come down and the entire community stick together, that's pretty powerful. That's a good thing.
Was there, are you talking about when they brought the pizza specifically?
No, I think I think back to the Paradise Fire when KVMR did like a one-day giving where they got permission from FCC or whatever to raise money for people, and how giving our community is giving to those who they have no idea who they're giving to, but they're giving to a collective thought to collect money for people we've never met. That was pretty amazing. They've earned, thousands of dollars. I can't remember how much, but it was an overwhelming amount of money that our community gave. But other beautiful things besides just living in a beautiful place, I don't know. Honestly, lately it's hard to focus in on those beautiful things. And it's really easy to think, God, I don't go to the river anymore because there's a bunch of assholes that pollute it and park on the wrong side of the street and are gross and don't pick up their dog poop. Anyhow, so it's a challenge for me, honestly, Brian, right now to be reminded why I love home.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I can't see anything anymore, but I can imagine, trying to look at all the beautiful trees through the smoke is disheartening. And wondering when are those trees going to be on fire?
Right. And then I remember you sharing like the trees that were dying at your parents' property. What type of trees were those?
Same as here? It was incense cedar and ponderosa pines. And yeah, it was a weird experience because that was in Central California, in the mountains above Fresno. And I remember when we came back here in 2017, we actually went to the Sierra College, and there was a scientist there talking about climate change, and specifically used the area where we live, which was close to Shaver Lake, in the central Sierra Nevada. And they said that is the ground zero for watching climate change because, and it was the strangest experience because of my eyes were dying, and I was getting near the end of actually being able to see things clearly with, some visual acuity. And then the only thing I could see was death, was to see these beautiful trees that reminded me of here, where I was born, and felt comfort. And then just watching them die one at a time, or even in groups, and then just having to, I had to cut them down. And then it was a sad experience. And because you're watching, like, imagine where we are here, where there's, you know, the trees are thick and green, and then making it look like the foothills, like we're Penn Valley. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a strange transition, and knowing that it's climate change is driving it and making it worse. And it was sad. It was
Yeah.
sad, and it made me think a lot about, you know, Josh Fox's film, how to let go of the world and love all the things climate can't change.
Hmm.
And
To check it out.
yeah, it's a very good documentary, because he talks about, in the very beginning, it opens with, I think he's from Rhode Island, and he talks about how he planted a tree in his front yard when he was little, and then he got to watch it grow up as he grew up. And then, very much like here, where the bark beetle attacks a tree, where he was living in Rhode Island, some type of insect like that had killed that tree. And so he was witnessing, you know, that loss. And it's a loss. It's ultimately a loss that we're all grieving. And some people don't believe it's reality, but it is. And it's a horrible loss. I mean, it may be the greatest loss human beings will ever experience.
Yeah. We're watching currently where we live, a little neighborhood, and then we're watching these pine trees die in a neighbor diagonal from us, just one by one. It's like they're getting closer to our pines. Hold on. Yes. What do you want, buddy? Yes. One more. Somebody wants a cookie.
What kind?
Chocolate chip. Homemade chocolate chip.
Good
I
choice.
think I have. Yes. Make sure your gum went into the trash, please.
Not under the table.
Not under the table. And that's probably not a good thing to balance on, my Lord. And I have healthcare coverage, but not that good.
So if you could speak to everybody on earth, like almost as if you had a God voice or whatever spirituality that you believe in, what would you say?
What would I say?
If you could whisper into everyone's ear at the same time, all over the planet.
We're all the same. We're all the same. If I could take judgment out of people's DNA, I mean, and I'm guilty of it too. But to unlabel somebody, you know, we get so stuck in labeling others, and then that label becomes a platform on how we engage with one another or not engage with one another. If people would take the time to figure each other out, I think it would be a even more beautiful planet. You know, that's one thing about work is, like, you might be different, but there's something about your different, or your different ability that makes me love you. Like, you're quirky, and you might say Mr. Rogers saying 467 times to me within an hour. And I love you for that, because you can quote that. I can't, you know, or you like boys and you're a boy. I don't care. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. I had a transgender friend ask me that once in one of her podcasts. Like, I just don't understand what's so hard about accepting everybody regardless. I don't understand it. I just don't. I don't get it. It gets in the way.
Well, I think a lot of times, you know, a lot of people profit from people being divided and at odds with each other. And a lot of people can make money that way. And, you know, that's why the military industrial complex is.
I know. And I guess, you know, in a perfect world, my world would be Gene Roddenberry, Star Trek, where everybody, you know, you got a little bit of everybody on your spaceship.
Yeah.
And there's no questions about why you have three heads, but you're still a commander or whatever,
Are you aware that Martin Luther King, that was the only show that he would allow his children to watch, was Star Trek?
Yeah, it's brilliant. I did not know that.
Yeah. And actually Uhura, I'm blanking on her name, but she was going to quit the show. And I think in her autobiography or something, she talks about how she was going to quit the show, and Martin Luther King approached her and said, "You can't quit.
Oh, wow.
This is too important."
Right.
Yeah. The fact that, having a person of color on TV at that time was so critical. And so she stayed because, she listened to him.
Good.
Yeah.
I remember hearing that, I think. Yeah. So sorry if that's too weird or cheesy or not good enough.
No. I appreciate that. And so before I'm going to ask my final question, I want to know, is there something that we missed that is essentially you? Something, a story, or something we don't know about you?
Oh, I like to share the story because mostly because of a lot of police violence with people pulling out guns and shooting people. We have that young gal that was shot in Alta Sierra after having a knife. That really hit home. So the story I will share is quite a few years ago. Had gone back to school. I was working up at the local children's home up there off of close to North San Juan. It used to be called Millhouse, and they've retitled their name since. But I was at my supervisor's home at the time, and some shit went down. Like all of a sudden, domestic violence in her home triggered. And I was there in her home with her children and friends of those children. So there was like 4 young people involved in a situation where there was a weapon pulled. So there was a gun pulled out on me, and my life was being threatened with a gun. And at that time, that person had put their hands on me, grabbed me by my shirt, and like ping ponged me through the house, all while holding a gun, telling me to get off their property or they were going to kill me. And at that point, like all my natural instincts and the things that I had learned in training from working at that group home, I reasoned with that person, just verbally reasoned with them that I was going to leave their property. There's no intent, I had no intent to hurt them, but the only thing that I was going to need to do in order to leave was to take the children with me. And I kept saying that. I'm like, I'll leave your property, but you have to let me have the kids. I will leave your property, but I'll have to have your kids. Which I was able to remove the children off of the property and evade that situation. The reason why I bring that up is because I had no weapon. I was afraid for my life. I did not have a bulletproof vest. I could have been killed that day and buried on their land very easily. But because of my training at the time to reason with somebody who was not well, I was able to reason with them verbally. So when I heard of that story of that young woman racing toward the cop with a knife, I thought, fuck, man. I had somebody pull a rifle out in my face, and I was able to talk my way out of it without having, not that I had a weapon to defend myself, but like I was able to talk my way out of someone twice my size to not get my ass killed. And I wish that would happen more with our law enforcement, that they could speak first before they act. You know, I get it. I know their jobs aren't easy. I respect that. But I also feel it's so much more these days to understand mental health issues and have, like, not panic, like the Hitchhiker's Guide, you know, don't panic. Like, I had to pull everything inside myself not to panic that day. But again, you know, I didn't have any type of weapon to fight back, but I was able to use my skill to evade the situation and keep 4 children safe. So that's one story that creates like the being that I am, for sure. It's a stressful moment. Something
How old
I'll
were you when
never
that happened?
forget. Let's see, September 11th had already happened. So I'm gonna say I could drink. So I was at least 25, maybe 25.
Mm-hmm. That's intense.
Yeah. So it's, you know, that incident, after watching the footage, it hit home because I was sad for that young woman who was killed. Really sad.
Yeah, it was a horrific incident for sure.
But you know, that's just one crazy incident. Oh, one of many that we didn't get to talk about tonight, but that's it. It
If you feel
definitely.
free to share if there is, I mean, we can certainly, if there's something else that you want to share, please do it.
I don't know. I mean, I do know. I just have to scroll through my brain, all the Rolodexes. That one is pretty intense. You know, I could talk about yucky relationships, but nobody really needs to know about that. But you know, they're dangerous. You know, people say it's so easy to leave. All you have to do is leave, but you really can't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, spiders' webs are very sticky.
Mm.
So you know, that's a tricky web that women and or men, because men can be in nasty relationships too.
What would you say to someone that's in a abusive relationship right now that
Oh
is
man,
unable to leave?
find somebody safe that you can.
Hold on, my screen
Okay,
reader is going
I know,
crazy
I can
here.
hear it.
There we go. It's off. Sorry.
Find somebody you can talk to, and not necessarily, and it has to be the right person, because you don't want to go to somebody who's going to tell you what they think you should do. It's just like, and I wish I would have had that person I could have gone and found just to bounce off my experiences with, so I could hear them out loud. I think that would have helped. And it was a long time ago, so there's a lot of resources within our community now. I could have gone to get support and help.
Community Beyond Violence.
Yeah, that kind of thing, or where you like they help you, like it's a safe way to run away. Because when I finally did get out, I was followed and go back over there. I was followed and spied on, and it was icky, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had moved out, and when I would drive to my new home, I think that person was following me. So I'd like drive for an extra half hour. And then once I was at Target and uh, my name came over the loudspeaker, I'm like, oh, my mom's here. Because my mom works in Auburn too. Like, she wants to meet me in the dressing room. So I ran over to the dressing room, and it was a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
And it was my ex at the time, who was very abusive. Like, I'm just making sure you're there, and I'm making sure you're staying where you are. Like, what the hell is happening? It was just bad.
Scary.
Very scary. Very, very icky. Very icky. Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's sad that, you know, I'm sure that your ex, it'd be very likely, and I'm just making a guess, that your ex experienced some abuse, and then
most
your ex
definitely.
externalized that on you.
Abuse from a sibling. So yeah. I understand all of that now, after going to school and learning about what makes a person and how human behavior is purposeful, and I get it for sure. But in the moment, it was frightening.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. But I bounced out of that. I mean, I think of all the things I've accomplished since and what I've overcome, and I didn't get stuck forever. I got stuck for a good long time, but it wasn't forever. And would I take it back? No, because it's definitely what's given me my skin today, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, was that before or after the gun incident?
That was before.
So
Way
maybe
before.
that
Oh
helped
yeah.
in that
Oh
moment.
yeah. To stay calm, continue reasoning. Yeah. And also knowing like there was a purpose for that person behaving in the manner in which they were, for sure. Yeah.
So I want to ask you one final question.
Okay. I think you
So
said that last time. So this is your second final question.
did I? I
Maybe,
thought I
yeah.
said I don't remember what I said. I mean, I'm exhausted.
I don't
But
care.
I want to ask you the question: what would you write as your epitaph on your gravestone?
She's finally farted and feels better.
Have you had
The
issues
final
farting?
fart. I don't have issues with that. No.
Okay.
But like the final release.
Right.
We had a kitten that died that we rescued, and it's like, is this kitten alive? And I went and poked it, beep, beep, beep. And it's like, no. So all its air came out.
Well, Rachel also,
here.
it's the when she worked in the mortuary, that would happen. It was what do they call it, like death aspiration or something.
Yeah, it all comes out.
Yeah.
I what would I say? It would be something funny and snarky, and I'm not quite sure what it would be.
What I mean, if you could do a eulogy about yourself, what would it be? Just a short one, and maybe just a few lines.
Maybe I wouldn't say anything. It would just be silence. What about that? Would it just be nothing?
Right.
Like, here she lies.
Well,
all she wanted to ever do is like sleep in.
Are you able to sleep in
gets
now?
to sleep. Oh yeah, but school's starting, so that's gonna shift. I'm a night owl. Like, I'll go to bed 1:30, and then like, oh my god, I got to get up at 6:30.
Really? You stay up that late?
Oh dude, it's bad. It's bad. And then if I fall asleep like at 11, I'll wake up at 2 going, oh my god. Then I have to put
ADHD?
Probably. I have to put a podcast in my ear. I'm like, okay, listen. And my brain's like, no, actually, you should probably watch something. You'll fall asleep better if you watch something. Quit listening to this. How many times have you heard this podcast? 6 times. Okay, maybe I need to watch something. Should I watch something? No, don't watch something. You don't want something to watch. You should just listen to something. Should I listen to something? Maybe I'll listen to something different. And then 45 minutes later, okay, you should probably just watch something, because now you're just thinking about watching that one thing, and you should just watch it. Yeah, I don't know, dude.
So what's your podcast? What are you listening to?
Let me pull them up so I can
let's advertise them.
Let's advertise them. I Weigh with Jamelia I don't know how to say IWEIGH. I like her. She's an actress from some show. A new one that I really love is Hypochondriac Actor. So that's with he played on Will and Grace. Sean.
So it's about hypochondriac actors.
Yeah. So he has a doctor. She's adorable. So she's a doctor and a stand-up comedian.
Okay.
She's a comedian and a physician. And then Sean Hayes he's an actor, and he always thinks he's sick or has a sickness. And so they interviewed Alec Baldwin because has Lyme disease. And
Does
so
he?
so they talk about, different sicknesses, whatever. I love Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me. Let's see, Radio Lab. Latino USA is one of my favorites. Splendid Table. Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend.
Okay.
Snap Judgment. Don't Ask Tig. And Smartless, which also has Sean Hayes, Jason Bateman, and Will Arnett. So those are actually really fun.
Yeah.
And I think those are the top 4 that come up that I listen to over and over again.
And you didn't even mention The Blind Man in Black.
Well, that's YouTube. You didn't ask me for my YouTube playlist.
No, I have an Apple podcast. It's on there as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just go to YouTube.
I need to get that out more, but
yeah. So I only knew it from there. On YouTube, I really like to watch or listen to the crimes, like people who murder people and all that sick stuff. I'm fascinated by that.
Are you talking about like the Nightline, like crime, like spouse murders and other spouse stuff?
I do, but then there's some new like platforms of retired investigators who are like investigating and interviewing parents of missing children who their children might not necessarily be missing because they've been abducted, quote, but they've been killed, or spouses that have been killed.
Is this how we're going to end this? It reminds me exactly like Rachel, like the last week. So I'm in bed. I'm about to go to sleep. I had a long day at work. And then she starts telling me like the history of all these different serial killers.
Yeah, dude, what's so fascinating about it? I'm obsessed. I mean, I can't spout off names and stuff, but it's like I am fascinated by people killing other people.
Yeah, I mean, it's extreme. Extremes of humanity. Like what would it take for us to get to that point? Of course, all of the root of that is trauma, severe trauma. And I couldn't fucking believe it. Rachel, we went through, she told me all of the different crimes, like all of the different like methods of killing. And then like at the end, she was telling me about the last one was like, have you heard about I think that Mary Bell or Mary Ball?
No.
She was a child serial killer.
Ooh.
She was like 10 years old.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
And I guess she killed babies.
Oh, so that's fun. Okay, gross.
Yeah, it's crazy shit, right? And so that was the last thing she told me. Like, and she told me her whole history. And then she's like,
Good night, honey.
And then right before she went to the bath, as she does, she said, Mary Bell says good night, and then closed the door.
God, I love this woman.
I know. Everybody loves her.
Yeah, I know. I got hooked up into school shootings because I was fascinated by that, and then watching the interviews for the kids who didn't kill themselves, watching the interviews. And then that one, they made it like a TV show about it. I don't know if you remember hearing that young girl whose mom pretended she had cancer and whatnot, and that girl and her online boyfriend ended up murdering her mother. See, that's how good I am. I take that, but I can't give you any facts about names or anything. But it's a true story. So the mom would get money from different agencies because her daughter is sick. And she'd always go to different doctors to get different diagnoses. She has cancer, or she can't walk, or she has cerebral palsy or whatever. And then made her daughter believe she was disabled since she was little. And then finally her daughter caught on to the situation and then tried to escape her mom's home and was not able to do that. And then she found a boyfriend online and was sneaky. And then that boy came to meet her, and then they ended up killing her mother. And so she's in prison. I don't know if she's getting out anytime soon, but I'm fascinated
Probably
by that.
not.
No. At the same time, she killed her abuser, but still
Right.
not appropriate. But I get it. So on a happy note, what time is it? Like almost 9:00?
Probably. But I really want you to cultivate your psychic
I'll work on it.
abilities. I think you can really, I mean, think about all the things you could forecast.
Right? The world is going to end, Brian.
Well, I think that's a given.
Okay. I'd be more specific.
We just don't know when.
Wow.
I a couple of years ago, like I went and saw this scientist. His name was Guy McPherson, and his prediction was that he was a climate scientist, and his prediction was that human beings would not be on this earth in 5 years. So that was what, like 2019.
Ew.
So, but it was
possible.
Well, his whole theory was that that if we, the idea is that if you remove carbon emissions, then everything will be better, right? And so he said, because there's I don't know what it was, but the logic was there's something called a global masking effect or something, that if you remove the carbon, like it'll heat up the earth faster, so you can't remove it. And I don't remember what it was, but he was just basically saying that we're totally fucked, and that there isn't any way out. And if we try to remove the carbon, it'll only make things worse because of this global masking effect that I don't really understand. I mean, I did then, but I don't remember. I'm too tired to remember.
I know, dude. I get you.
But
last night I stumbled across this YouTube video. It's called Earth Ships, America's Off-Grid Desert Community. And when was it? It was posted a month ago. And I don't know if it's a recent video or if it's an old video reposted, whatnot, but it was this gentleman who's trying to rewrite laws in Mexico in order to build your homes out of garbage. So he's building these homes out of tires and bottles, and he's making homes be self-sufficient. So there's these homes out in the desert, you get like 7 inches of rain a year there, but they're self-sufficient just based on the sun. It's like, if we could just build all of our homes like this, but we can't because there's policies and permits that you have to have and building codes. But if we can get rid of those and build these earth ships, calls them, where like you flush the toilet and that water, instead of going out to your yard, nothing actually comes back into your house and waters your greenhouse, which is actually in your home. And it feeds your plants. It's like, this is how simple it is. It's not impossible. But he spent years rewriting laws, and he actually finally, I don't know if it like took 10-15 years for him to finally pass new laws in Mexico. So he has a small community, and he's teaching people how to build homes out of tires and just garbage, and they're beautiful. They do a walkthrough, and they're absolutely gorgeous homes, and there's no electricity. It's all everything's provided by the wind or the sun. And the house contains all this heat during the day, and in the evening when it cools off, all the tires that are under your home like release the heat, and so it warms your house in the evening. Makes complete sense. So to tag on to that scientist guy, I'm like, yeah, we're just gonna end up killing ourselves when we could easily slow down and modify our world, our living style very simply, without exhausting all of our natural resources.
Could you send me that link? Or
for sure.
I'd appreciate it. Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, I've heard of things like that, and it's always fascinating, and I wish
I hope you can. I mean, since you can't see how beautiful it is, but you could still hear that man's message,
right?
Which I think is super cool.
What's his name?
Let me see if it lists it in the
In your history, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, I found the history, but I'm seeing if it has his name in there. It doesn't have the gentleman's name. These off-grid homes. No, you'll have to listen to the video to hear who it is.
Okay. Well, do you have anything you'd like to share, like a link
Any
or a
last
website?
words?
Prickly
Pickles,
Pear.
Pickles your prickles. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see you can't see, but for those people who are watching, maybe if you get any views for this, I make tie-dye. It's been my sidekick job. I sell really pretty tie-dye things.
Cool.
So people can go to Prickly Pear Radio Instagram or Facebook and see how weird I am.
Awesome. Prickly Pear.
Prickly Pear Radio, yeah.
All right. Awesome.
And I'm gonna send you this link here.
Yeah, and to send me your social media links as well, so I can post those in the show description.
That's your phone telling you that I sent you something. I will. And yeah, I'm glad you're still working. Thanks for the hookup the other day.
You are very welcome. Happy to be with.
Yeah, the young man that helped me, Mike, we know each other. So that was cool.
Oh, you had met him before?
I met his wife, yeah.
Okay.
From looking for schools for my son. We have been in the same school meetings over the past few years and have run into each other in weird spaces in Nevada County and go, hey, we know each other.
It's a small town.
It is. Yes.
It's a small world.
But yeah, thanks for rescheduling and listening to me ramble and talk about whatever.
Yeah, thank you for sharing what is alive within you. I appreciate that, Prickly Pear. And
I was all excited and like after listening to Beth, because I got to work with Beth when I worked at the high school.
Beth Moore, yes.
Yeah, because I worked at Nevada Union for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, I can't wait to tell Brian everything about me. And then here I'm like, oh, look at all those things we didn't talk about.
Well, we can do it again.
Okay, maybe we'll come in as my real name. That's right here on my screen where it says Amy.
Right. Yeah, it just says Amy though. It's just like you're like Prince.
Yep.
So,
sweet.
But thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for listening and watching The Blind Man in Black. I am your host, Brian Snyder, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts or YouTube and or go to theblindmaninblack.com, which I need to revise because the show has changed. And you can also find the Exhausting Snyders, my wife and I being odd on TikTok.
I can't wait. The Exhausting Snyders. I'm gonna have to go find that. It's gonna be what I'll stay up till 2 a.m. watching.
That will be your rabbit hole.
That will be my rabbit hole. Just one more. Just one more.
There you
Just
go.
One more.
There you go. Thank you so much, Prickly Pear.
Thank you, Brian. It's good to see your face, and I miss doing disability rap with you.
I know. We'll have to, maybe we can do something else. I wouldn't mind doing KVMR. That would be fun.
Yeah, you should.
Is the studio open?
It is.
Sort of.
Well, for us to go in, we can't have guests yet, but
okay.
we can go in. Have you ever thought about doing the class and then having your own show or something?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is I don't know how I'd be able to run the board. You know what I mean? Like without some like serious,
But if you pre-produce something for like KVMRX, I mean, you could do that.
But I like swearing, and I don't like being restricted. That's the only thing.
KVMRX, you can swear.
It's X-rated?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you have on the dial 89.5 on the dial. Then they have KVMRX. They call it the Xbox, like the conjoined twin. So KVMRX is only streaming. Some of that media they pull off and put on the other channel, but they do have something that streams where all those DJs can play F-bombs and swear all they want. So, it's just a thought. It might be a way where you could plug something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
they might need some filler space.
I'm open. I'm always open for new opportunities. And yeah, thank you so much. And I appreciate you being here with me. And if everyone, this is Prickly Pear. You can find on KVMR and on Facebook, Instagram, and where else?
That's it. Prickly Pear Radio, Instagram, Facebook, KVMR.
Okay. All right.
And
now it's time for our awkward ending.
Awkward endings. Here's my sword. You can't see it, but I've been fondling it all night. It's my wooden
You've been fondling
sword.
a sword?
My son's wooden sword. Yes.
Is it, what type of, is it like a katana, or is it like medieval European?
It's from the Celtic festival like 2 years ago. It's made in the United States of America.
America.
Just America. I've just been holding it the whole time.
Right.
Made me feel safe.
I wish I would have known that. I would have commented. That's how, look at all the shit I'm missing by not seeing.
I had it below screen. You couldn't have seen it anyhow. So you're not, I just outed myself with my sword.
Is it like an anti-anxiety type thing?
Yeah, I knew I needed something in my hand. And since I don't have a beer bottle, like to peel the label off, I figured I better hold something. So I'm going to hold my sword.
That's an ADHD thing. My wife identifies as ADHD, and she has to constantly be holding something or doing something.
Dude, I get it. I know. I relate.
All right, here we go.
Right, dude, here we go. We'll keep
awkward
talking.
Sword.
We'll keep it. Awkward sword, awkward endings.
All right. Much love and many hugs. Have a lovely evening.
Yeah. Tell your lovely wife, have a nice bath.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome, dude.
Right.
It's really good to see you. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Great to see you as well.
All
Thank
right.
you. Or
All
hear
right.
you. I can't see
Yeah,
anything.
whichever. I'm glad you can't, because you probably throw up with all the colors I'm wearing. All right. All right, bro.
All right. Did I do it?
I don't know. You didn't do it. Want me to do it? I'll do it. I'll hang up first. No, you hang up first.
Okay, you ready?
No, I hang up first. Ready? 1, 2, go.